Yeah, and like as an artist, like how do you build up like that discipline? Like what's a routine that you kind of got instilled like, as a creator just to be like I know I'm going to finish this project and I know I'm going to advance myself every time I work on something. How do you continue to keep that discipline up?
Uh, that's so. I guess for me, it's I had to give up something. Uh, so when before I did started doing comics, I used to play video games a lot.
Mm,
Used to play Madden, used to play whatever. Just on my time off, I would I'd pick up a controller or something. Um, and so now I had to kind of implant the a little how do I put this? I had to implant a voice in my head that goes, "You have work to do. Like you need to do work. Like you got something to do." So I did that, and then I started making a list. So when I woke up in the morning, I'd say, or before I went to bed, whatever the list of things I need to do that day, I'd put a list and I put it in my phone, and I just kind of trained myself to constantly look at the list and check off the things that need to be done. Um, but originally, when I had first kind of sat down to do it, I've told this story before. I originally sat down to do my comic because I was getting married soon,
mm,
within a year, I believe, and I knew if I didn't do this now, it wasn't going to get done. Like once you once you get married, everything changes. So I was kind of up against the clock
mhm.
because I wanted to get my first book done before I got married, and so once I had kind of instilled the discipline that all right, I need to get this done before this happens. I need to get done before this happens. It then just became habitual. Like
Nice.
so the next book it was all right. This I want to get this done, and I got to the point. I do different things now. I set dates. Okay, I need this done by this date. I need this done by this date. Um, I kind of sometimes like, I'll tell my wife and then my wife will be like, oh, I thought you had to do such and such. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so, it's just little things here and there. Eventually it adds up.
Mhm.
But again, a lot of it stemmed back from, SCAD because, SCAD was very much got to get stuff done, got to get stuff done. And like I said, there is a discipline to, I want to do this, but I can't do this because I have to do this.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, especially, when I was first getting started, there were days where I just wanted to like go home after work and do nothing.
Yeah.
Wanted to go and just sit with my wife. I wanted to go and hang out with my friends or do something. And I kind of just got myself to the point where I was like, nope, you have to get work done. And so I would work. Back then I was working until like 1 or 2 in the morning before I would
Oof.
go to sleep. So I'd work my 9 to 5 and then I'd go do comic books for another, 3, 4, 5 hours. But I've learned to kind of, now that I'm deeper in, I balance the work life a little better.
Mhm.
So, yeah, so it's discipline. However you get there, you get there. Whatever things you need to do, whatever works that gives you the kick in the butt. And then after a while, once you start seeing progress and um, you start seeing, the results,
Yeah.
then that kind of makes me go, oh man, I got to get this book out because, this book is selling well and people are asking about it. Because, I don't want to use the term fans, but your readers, the
Mhm.
people that buy your book, especially if they see you a lot, go, oh, when's the next one coming out? And it's that, that outside peer pressure
Yeah.
to get you to get the book done. That's so, like I said, the success kind of spurs you along too.
That's such a cool path that you have to take too. You know what I mean? You're having to sacrifice a lot on your behalf to like really just instill and like figure out this goal. And once you reach that goal, you're basically like, okay, I've done this once. I could prove I could do it again. And then all of a sudden, time starts going by and it's like now it starts transforming. It's not about like you needing to reach your personal goal. It starts to turn into like now you're reaching a goal so that your readers and your audience
Mhm,
can
mhm.
continue to have like this material that they're falling in love with and enjoying. And it stops kind of so much being about you needing to do it for yourself and start doing it for other people. And I
Oh
love
yeah.
that because like that's what we're here to tell stories for, is for people, is to give people this like I always call it, storytelling survival information. You're passing along stuff that so it could get somebody through a hard day, a hard
Right.
moment, any of that day. To me, it's survival information through stories. And it goes from personal survival information, things you're instilling, to giving it back to them. And that's so beautiful because like now you're just like purely motivated by like your own abilities, your everything you've set yourself up for, and for this audience you've grown and curated. Like that's a big success move right there. I feel it's just like knowing like this isn't just about me anymore. This isn't about my daydream. It's about like people getting a product that I am creating, and that's just
Right.
so cool.
Yeah, I mean, and then on top of that, once you as I'm into this career and as I'm meeting other creators, within the indie comics community, within the big two, or other larger companies, you start to see what your peers are doing
Hmm.
and their successes. And at least for me, I can't speak for anybody else, but it starts to motivate me,
Yeah.
and I start to go, man, he's put out this book and that looks amazing, man. I got to get to work, man. I can't like look at look at what he's doing. Like how do I get there? Like
Hmm.
and I have a bunch of peers, and I can name drop a bunch of them, but I don't want to do that because I don't want to leave anybody out.
Yeah,
There's a
understandable.
ton of peers of mine, good friends who are doing phenomenal work. Um, and I constantly watch them and I constantly view it. And it's not a jealousy thing, but it's kind of a competitive, you know, my competitive nature is, well, my friend's over there and he's doing awesome. He's doing fantastic and I'm happy for him. But how can I get over there too? And so
Hmm.
I start to, okay, he made 7 books. Okay, I'm at 6 books. I got to get my 7th book out. He's doing t-shirts. Okay, I got to get my t-shirts out. He's doing this. So, I'm competitive that way, but it's not in a man, what, I'm happy for the success of my friends, but their success inspires me to get off my butt too. So it's not just one thing, that motivates me to get up and get work done. It's a hodgepodge of a bunch of different things that will push me to give up sitting around and doing nothing, or hanging out with my friends, or like I'd rather go hang out with my friends, but I got to do this Comic-Con because I got to sell books, I got to make money. I joke with my friends that I rarely see them because every other weekend I'm in a different
Gone.
city. Yeah.
Hmm. Man, that's the life of the comic creator gets more and more complex because of that. Like
Yeah.
you're really just trying to do this to make this dream come true. And like the more you get involved with making comics, it's not about just like going home and like, well, I gotta work on this for a few hours. I gotta try to make a book and like, all right, now I gotta print it. Now I gotta distribute, all that stuff. Like it builds up and the scale of work gets bigger. It goes from like your desk to like, okay, now my desk is now my operating table,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
now I have to move this operating table like to different cities, and I have to set
Hmm.
up different displays and all this, and it really does consume you, and it takes up a good portion of time, energy, and finances to a big extent
Yeah.
too. But like it's finding the rewards in that, and the way you're approaching it is so positive because some indie creators take it like that competition that people are ahead of them, and that panic and that worry and anxiety starts to creep in, and then they're just like maliciously trying to make a book or catch up and do X, Y, and Z. But it's like, no, it's not about that. We're not trying to compete with each other. It's like we're all doing our own thing and we're all just trying to do our best. Like I love how like you're being inspired by others, because we should all be inspired by those who have done just a little bit more than us, and like maybe did it like a little bit better than us too, because it's like, oh, I didn't think of that. Like that's something I could snag. That's a cool trick. Like how do I get to that level? How do I test it out to get there? That's the most positive way to think about it, rather than being
Right.
like, man, they're ahead of me. How am I ever going to catch up? Like, and a lot of people, I feel like more in like non-creative people have that mindset. I hate to say, is that like that whole competitive, we're all up against each other, like my neighbor's doing better than me, like that's not good type of thing, when it's like, no, it's good. Like they're happy. They probably work for it. They're killing it. Like we should all be celebrating that within comics too.
Bring your comic books to life and print your comics with